I made it no secret that I loved the Pixel 4a. In fact, I titled that video "Buy This Phone" because it really does nail what it set out to do. A budget phone which nails the fundamentals and delivers an amazing camera experience. But the Pixel 5 isn't a budget device, and it's not priced like a high-end flagship either. It's more of a mid-range high-end phone if such a thing exists, and I actually really like it for that. To quote my friend Ben from the Lover of Tech channel, this is Google reading the room on the Pixel series, slightly altering its priorities, and the resulting phone is one that I really admire. Before we do anything though, I want to give a huge shout out to Vodafone UK for sending me this review unit of the Pixel 5. I really appreciate their support. If you are thinking of grabbing a Pixel 5 for yourself, then be sure to check the link in the description below to pick one up on the UK's best data network. Anyway, let's get back to it. Initially, it's hard to be jazzed about the design of the Pixel 5. There's no crazy colour schemes or decadent design choices here. It's a straight up black or sorta sage slab of a device. At its best, you could say it's minimalistic, and at its worst, you could just say it's boring. Despite its somewhat unexciting design though, there's actually a lot going on with the Pixel 5. Its main build comes from an aluminium textured back, which is grippy and slightly rough to the touch. I like it personally. It gives the phone a sense of toughness that you don't get with the glass sandwiches which are oh so prevalent in today's phone designs. Interestingly, it's not all aluminium on here though. Google have covered the phone in a bioresin, which basically means it's a form of plastic, which is what you're actually feeling when you hold it. There's a reason for this though: wireless charging. If the phone was totally covered in aluminium, it would mean the wireless charging wouldn't work at all, so Google literally cut a hole in the back of it for the wireless charger to go, meaning a portion of the back of the device is only covered by that bioresin. It's a strange solution, but it works. Also featuring on the back is a fingerprint reader, a blessing in my opinion in our current times. It's placed perfectly on the device so your finger naturally rests on it, and it's as quick as it's ever been. I'm a fan of the front of this device though more than anything. The screen is surrounded by a unified bezel which helps it feel balanced and well considered, which is strangely enough harder to come by on devices than you might think. Most noticeably though is the wonderful 90Hz screen refresh rate, which means everything feels silky and smooth. I know a lot of people might feel disappointed it's not a full 120Hz, but honestly, I think 90Hz is a great middle ground when it comes to battery life and still being able to feel the difference. On top of that, the screen is lovely stuff too. It's a full HD Plus panel that's nice and bright for outdoor viewing with punchy colours and inky blacks. I really like the hole punch for the camera up the top left too, and I've always found that design more appealing than a notch. If you look a little closer, you'll notice there's no top speaker on here. Google have decided to sit one behind the screen, which in turn vibrates the entire front of the device. For calls it sounds great and you can put your ear anywhere on the screen to hear things just the same as normal, but for playing music, even when combined with the downwards firing speaker, there's a lot to be desired with its tinny and relatively quiet output. My main gripe with the whole design though is that Google just decided to do away with any nice visual flourishes that the Pixel line used to have. There's no cool orange or green accented power button, and the colour choices are just meh. I really wish Google had kept that sense of fun with their colour schemes, like the really blue from the first generation or the not pink from the Pixel 3 series. That aside, I actually grew to really enjoy the design of this phone. When in use, all of these choices come together to make for a seamless user experience, and the sizing is utterly perfect. I've not used a phone that feels so bang on with how it sits in the hand, well, since the Pixel 4a. If there's one thing we do know about the Pixel phones is that their cameras are second to none, and that's ever more true here with the Pixel 5. Google's confidence in this camera is obvious. Images are sharp, full of contrast, and are tastefully saturated. If you've used any of the previous Pixel devices, these images will feel instantly recognisable. portrait mode is also handled really well. Google have been great at this for a long time, so it's nice to see them continue that on here. And night sight is typically excellent too, with photos pulling out an incredible amount of light from the darkest of scenes. That even extends to the astrophotography prowess in this camera, which is utterly mind-blowing on here. I love this about the Pixel 4a, and I love it again on here. Much to my likeness, the Pixel 5 adopts an ultra-wide camera over the telephoto from the previous generation, and while that's always great to see, it's actually significantly less wide than we've seen on other devices. Regardless, it still manages to keep that pixel look to the photos, and I'm glad it's here. In terms of video, I've never actually been a massive fan of what the Pixel produces, but I'm actually quite partial to the video coming out on the Pixel 5. You can go all the way to 4K 60p, and the stabilization on here is really rather nice. It's not quite iPhone levels of course, but it's still really great. So overall the camera experience is excellent, just as expected. However, I think Google are doing just enough this time round to stay as one of the camera greats. Samsung, Apple and others have all caught up now, and in many ways offer more variety in terms of lenses and software features. Taking decent photos just isn't enough to stay on top for much longer, and I think the Pixel devices need to evolve their cameras again next time before it just turns into another mobile camera. The Pixel 5 has a Snapdragon 765G coupled with 8GB of RAM, so no, these aren't flagship specs, but that shouldn't make you think the experience is any worse than those devices. I found the Pixel to keep up with pretty much every task I've asked of it, and not once have I noticed any slow ups or chugging in day-to-day usage. The only time you can really feel its power hit the ceiling is with HDR photo processing or with more intense gaming titles where you can see the resolution or frame rate dip every now and then. The focus on here more than anything is the spotless software experience from Google. This is the vision of how Android should be on every device, and I have to agree, this is easily the most unobtrusive, clean and snappy I've seen Android run in a while, and I wish every phone had the option of coming like this. I'm a terror for usually installing Nova Launcher or something similar to make my Android phones look and run how I want them to, but there's no need on the Pixel 5. The overall experience is fantastic. I will echo the concern that I felt in my Pixel 4a review though. I think the Snapdragon 765G is fine for now and maybe even a year down the line, but I do wonder how well it will cope in 2 to 3 years time as Android evolves and grows around it. That chip does allow the Pixel 5 to be 5G supported though, however you really shouldn't be buying a phone with this in mind right now. Here in the UK, 5G is growing, but it's not even close to being rolled out everywhere, and I don't live close enough to anywhere to go and try it out. Historically, Google's Pixel devices have never been the best for battery life, but I'm really happy to report, just like the 4a, the Pixel 5 completely reverses the story. It's a 4080 mAh battery in here and it's absolutely killer. I have no doubt in my mind that it will last you all day, no problem. In my testing, I'm getting around 3 hours of screen on time a day, resulting in around 50 to 60% of battery life intact. It's awesome. As ever, battery life is wholly dependent on how you use your phone, and while it's fantastic for me, and obviously this is a brand new battery in a brand new device, your mileage may vary, so do keep that in mind. Wireless charging is also present here, and the very wonderful reverse wireless charging is as well, so that means you can top up another device or some accessories like some earbuds just by dropping them on the back of the device. There's support for 18 watts of fast charging as well, and yes, you do get one in the box. Thank you for that, Google. Overall, the battery life in the Pixel 5 is excellent and it's a clear step above what Google have been doing before, and I think it's one of the better features of this phone. There's one thing that's been in the back of my mind through this entire review period, and that's the Pixel 4a. And this is the big but that I referred to in the title of this video, but the experience between the 4a and the Pixel 5 is so similar that I often forgot I was even using a different device. The build, battery and camera are all so equal that the only difference you can spot day to day is the bigger screen and the higher refresh rate, but only if you're really looking for it. Otherwise, the differences between these two devices can totally fade away. I really do think most people will be more than happy with the Pixel 4a or the 4a 5G if you want something a little larger. However, if you're on a budget and you're not too fussed about 5G, which to be honest you really shouldn't be at this point in time, or a bigger screen, or the ultra wide camera, or the wireless charging, then the Pixel 4a or the 4a 5G deliver a very similar experience on nearly every single level. So that rounds up this review of the Pixel 5, but more than ever, I'd love to know what you guys think. Do you think Google should have really pushed this and made it a flagship like they have done previously, or do you prefer this kind of mid-rangey sort of route? If you enjoyed the video, pop a like, and if you loved it, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out massively, and most importantly, it means I can keep making videos like this one. Anyway, I will see you all in the next one.